Hi, I'm Not Your Average Joe, and today we're back in Newark at my mum's for another specially requested project. This time we'll be turning an old guitar case into a wall-mounted shelving unit. Here we're removing the hinges and the top section of the case. My mum's an artist by trade, illustrating for Ladybird books and Disney, so whenever she has a crazy idea I get a rough sketch and have to deconstruct the inevitable logistical nightmare. We're using some spruce cladding for the shelves. It's nice and cheap and pretty lightweight, however, for a nice finish on the front edge you'll want to sand or plane away the connecting ridge. I frequently find myself working on site away from my workshop and I really need some kind of portable bench or table clamp system. If you've got any suggestions or any recommendations for something like this, I'd be really interested. I like to mark my cuts with a bit of excess so that when we get to installing the shelves we can make a nice tight fit, because the padded interior of this case is relatively easy. Next we're going to apply a few thin coats of dark walnut stain. I find it's much easier to get a consistent and even finish by building up thin layers using an almost dry brush technique. To mount the shelves into the case, we're cutting multiple sections of a large quarter dowel to the same length as the depth of each shelf, and this will be screwed in from the side. These came out a bit of a rough cut. Using a finer jigsaw blade would maybe have helped, but nothing a quick bit of hand sanding can't fix. Next we're staining these to match the shelves they'll support. These will be covered in the straight side, so really you just want to make sure that there's a nice finish on the curved side. We needed to figure out a way to mount it to the wall. With the case being very sturdy compared to those I've seen before, we decided a wooden plate on the back with a heavy-duty picture frame bracket on top would be perfect. The plate was drilled through from the back to locate the holes evenly and then screwed in from the inside. We're using some decent sized screws for the bracket that will make it through the wood and into the case material, but without pushing through the padding. Mum went a bit heavy with the last coat of stain, so we left it out in the sun for a bit to dry before laying out the shelves and brackets in position and then securing it all together. We intended on drilling these from the inside and screwing them from the outside, so we pre-drilled 45-degree holes in all of the shelf supports. The larger shelves at the bottom took some time, but otherwise went in place without a hitch. Here you can see how these simple bits of dowel are offering decent support to the shelves, definitely a much cheaper option than individual moulded wooden brackets. We then realised that with such tight space constraints the drill wouldn't actually fit in the top section, which meant drilling from the outside. Having already drilled the holes in the supports, we struggled to locate the pre-drilled holes, which risked causing splits, but thankfully with some care and patience it all came together. When my mum first asked if I could do this for her, I genuinely thought she'd gone a whole new level of nuts. But by the end of making this, it started to look really cool and I was quite happy with the result. All we had to do now was get it mounted on the wall and let her loose on decorating it. It's in a pretty dark room, but it looks awesome when you get up close. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how I could have made this even better, especially any suggestions with what to do with the lid of the guitar case. If you enjoyed this video, check out my secret bookcase door project, or head on over to NotYourAverageJoe.co.uk and check out my shop. I'll see you in the next one.